I just want to open up to any questions that you guys may have. Sorry, I went really fast on that one, and I only went fast is because it's recorded, and for me that seemed really complicated for a beginner, but I've done like thousands of these. That's why it's so fast, right? And it takes me about typically 5 minutes to analyze a deal. So any questions? I just want to open up to any questions for anybody, whether it's in the chat or if you want to unmute yourself. Yeah, so this was sent to me by a broker off market. So, um, as a beginner, so kind of my story is like if you try to find deals on LoopNet or Crexy, they're usually bad deals. I've never found a good deal on LoopNet or Crexy. One of my students, she actually found a 35 unit apartment complex on LoopNet and she closed on it, but she was lucky. Like I've been doing this for like 3 years and I've never had LoopNet, Crexy, or a broker give me a good deal. But this was an off market. It's called a pocket listing. So the brokers, when they get a listing, they send it to all their investors via email. So I was just on his email list, but like like I said, I underwrote this deal. Like I already knew it was overpriced because I own a property in that area already. So once you get on these lists, you can analyze it. But like to be honest, like I don't. All my deals I got was through my direct mailing campaign, and my 26 unit I bought for 500,000, and it's 3 miles away from this apartment complex. Right, so literally I have 26 units. I have 10 more units, and it's $300,000. Or they want double my what I paid for my 26 unit. Right, so if someone buys this is great because it sets the sales comps for my apartment complex. So please, someone buy this. Right, someone buy this so that my sales comps goes up for my apartment complex. Right, so that's why it's kind of funny, but but I just went through the exercises because my offer price would, I mean, 800,000 is still overpaying for it, right? In my mind, but if I just need a tax write off, it's not bad. So that's how I kind of did it. So not too exciting. It was just a pocket listing from a broker. This guy sent me at least 20 deals, and all of them have been terrible. I'm not trying to slander him. I mean, he's just trying to spread it out to multiple people. So, yeah, that's how I found that listing. Yeah. Any other questions from anybody here? Yeah, yeah. So I send out 300 letters a month. So you do the math, 6 months of letters. But on average, it takes around 6 to 12 months to have an effective mailing campaign. So, like if you're in a crunch with like a 1031 exchange, like one of my students, he has to do a 1031 exchange. So like he's kind of pressured. So he's kind of forced to buy a bad deal, unfortunately. But I just told him like, dude, like even if it's a bad deal, just pay the tax. Like just pay the tax, take the gut punch, because I'd rather pay taxes than buy a bad deal, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like how much, like how, like because the long term capital gains tax is like 20% max, right? And that's assuming it's a sliding scale too. So like whatever your capital gains is, just times it by 20%, and that's your gut punch that you're gonna take, right? But to me, I always view taxes like, dude, it's kind of an honor, right? That means you made money. That means you're doing well, right? So like in a weird way, like, but I tell my students like you do a reverse 1031 exchange. So what you do is you identify your property first, and then you sell your property because it's easier to sell your property for after you got a property under contract or you're about to close on it. Then you sell your property to 1031 into it. So it's called reverse 1031 exchange. Because when you do a 1031 exchange, you're under that 180-day timeline. It's so stressful, right? Like, I don't want to deal with that. And then, you're now more emotional because you're under the pressure and you might buy a bad deal, right? So, like, for me, I only fly to Oklahoma. I'm in California too. I only fly to Oklahoma when I know I'm gonna close on a property. Like, I don't, so it's it, you lose power, right? I hate losing power. So that's why I hate, like, I will never 1031 unless I have my other property lined up already. So, um, you know, yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you currently own apartments in Oklahoma City? Yeah, got it. Yeah, yeah. So there's two options. I mean, you can just set up a one-on-one with me if you're interested, or you can check out my YouTube channel. I have a direct mailing. I talk about my direct mailing campaign, and I'm actually gonna have more content coming out with my direct mailers. I actually got sponsored by the company that I'm using, so I'll have some videos coming out. But for those who are in my course, I gave my template and I basically strategize everything on how to do direct mailers. So honestly, sending the letter is half the battle. It's building the relationship afterwards. That's the hard part, right? Like, I like someone can send a letter versus me, but because it's just building that trust and rapport and like asking questions the right way. And I'm really good at human psychology too. That's part of my healthcare side of me. So like, that's how you really close the deal. But definitely getting the letters gets a conversation started. So I send out 300 letters. You have a 3% response rate in Oklahoma. So for every 300 you send, about 10 will actually respond to you. And out of the 10, maybe one or two are serious. Yeah. So yeah, no, people ask me that, but then my list is so targeted that I think for Oklahoma City, it only has like 800. So and then for me, like it's data, right? Like I don't want to send 800 letters. Well, if the letter I sent out was not effective, my response rate dips below 3%, then I want to pivot, right? So I don't want to like slowly commit, and you got to hit these people 7, 10 times. But I have some. I'm kind of working on upgrading the direct mailing portion of my course, but I have another strategy that I haven't needed to use yet. But it's like a more expensive strategy, but it's like more effective potentially. So yeah. So, but yeah, moral of the story, because one of my students is going through the same thing. I just said, just don't buy a bad deal. Just pay. I think he was trying to defer 300,000, which is like what 50,000 in capital gains tax. I'm like, just take that and save that for like another deal, right? Like with these off market deals, like I bought my 26 unit for half a million. It appraised at $750,000 day one. And I got offered $1.2 million from a 1031 exchange investor for my property without doing any renovations. I could have sold that and made $700,000, right? Yeah, yeah. You can probably get like like 20, 30 unit for about a million in Oklahoma City. So I hate talking about Oklahoma City because this creates more competition for myself, but it's a nice market. It's okay. I don't care. I know. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Well, exactly. Yeah, like I said, like people always like all my students ask me like, oh, like how do I pick my market? And I'm like, my sample is so simple. I have a good property manager there. That's my answer. That's it. Yeah, it doesn't matter where you go, as long as you have a good property manager, that's all you need. And because of that, like I bought a mobile home park in Alabama, which I'm trying to flip now. But then like I was stupid because like I have such a great team and system in Oklahoma City. Like I could easily bought another like 100 units, right? And scaled. But instead, I took on this like mobile home park, which is like a different asset class. Number two, it's a different model and it's like more stressful. So like, like I just could have bought another 100 units with that same money and like be carefree, right? Because I have a strong team there that it's been vetted, right? So that's why I kind of what I tell my students now is you don't have shiny object syndrome. Just focus on one area, scale your portfolio there. Oklahoma's nice because like when the market goes up, it stays the same. When the market goes down, it stays the same, right? So like it's not like your Austin's or even California where like all my single family homes went up by half a million in like 2 years, but now they're going back down, right? So it's kind of like what I'm kind of seeing. So yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I know that area because I've been there, and yeah, I basically have a team. So yeah, just reach out, just email me, and we set something up. What was it? Oh yeah. Let me put it in the chat. There you go. Um, and that applies to anyone. If anyone wants a one-on-one consultation or anything, just send me an email. Um, yeah. Carlin Tran. The recording. Yes, it's gonna be uploaded to my YouTube. I accidentally stop the recording midway, so it's gonna be two videos. But I usually upload it after the session, and then I usually email it out to everybody. But I can upload it onto my SAR post if you came from SAR. I just can add it to that. But just subscribe, and I have like 26 videos up right now. I've been doing this for a while. Um, let's see. TT, you mentioned you have students. Yeah, so for those interested in my course, it's basically 120 modules here. It's an A to Z system to get your first apartment complex. So I teach you how to choose your market, how to analyze deals, how to interview your property manager, how to interview your general contractor, how to set your direct mailing campaign, how to negotiate with the owners, how to find a lender, how to manage your property manager, just A through Z. It's pretty long. It's pretty comprehensive, but the intent is to get your first off-market apartment complex under market value, ideally, and to close on that and manage that and slowly scale. So I'm not a syndicator. I own about 90 units myself. I don't partner with anyone. It's just me. And the reason for that is I just like control of the asset, and I'm buy and hold for the most part. Minus my mobile home park that I'm trying to flip, but for the most part, I'm like buy and hold. So yeah, just you can send me an email if you're interested about the course. But this feedback I've gotten so far has been pretty impressive. I have about 3 students right now who I'm helping with their direct mailing campaign right now. And I one student purchased the apartment complex already. So yeah, pretty fast there. I guess any questions? I'll open it up to anyone else. Yeah, so Vu, for the insurance costs, so I have an insurance broker that I work with. So I use an insurance broker. There's an online insurance brokerage website. I'm forgetting the name. I think it's like nreig.com, something like that. And you punch in your information, you can get a quote. But what I recommend to all the students or who I mentor, you get 3 quotes. So you get it from an online source, you get it from a broker, and then you get it from another like broker, work with multiple brokers, and you get a quote, right? And then with insurance, so this is another topic. So when every property I bought, the owner always bought cheap insurance, and like for example, the I bought my 26 unit. I think the insurance was like $10,000. The insurance that I'm paying for that same property is $20,000. And some of you are asking me why would you pay so much for insurance? And it's because they didn't buy replacement cost insurance. This is very key. Replacement cost insurance. What that means is if my apartment complex burns to the ground, right? I bought my apartment for half $500,000, 26 unit. If my 26 unit burned down to the ground, can I rebuild a 26 unit apartment complex for $500,000? That's impossible, right? Like, with $500,000, I can probably build like a fourplex out of my 26 units, right? So you want to buy replacement cost insurance, which is based on a per square foot. So, for example, it's $150 per square foot, whatever, to rebuild a new build in Oklahoma. city, right? I think it's 150 or 200, one of those numbers. And you times that by the square footage of your property, I think it came out to be like $2.5 million. So I'm buying $2.5 million replacement cost insurance, and that's how I'm buying my policy, right? So if my apartment complex burns down in a weird way, knock on wood, I don't hope it happens, but if it does happen, I'm gonna have a brand new A class 26 unit apartment complex rebuilt for $2.5 million. And while it's being rebuilt, I'm gonna get paid the rent that I lost. So that's why I say insurance is key. Like, don't be penny wise, pound foolish. So I tell all my students, buy buy replacement cost insurance. Don't be cheap. And obviously, if you're in my course mentorship or whatever, I share my resources, right? So my lenders, insurance brokers, whatnot. So I always say your network is your net worth. So you want to elevate your network, right? So you want to get around people who are doing deals, right? You want to get around people who are doing deals, actively involved, and own real estate, and that's how you elevate yourself, right? And for property tax, so that's public information. So this may sound really stupid, but you can literally Google what is a property tax rate in Oklahoma City, and it'll tell you. Um, it's like, I think it's 0.88% in Oklahoma City. So you just take your new purchase price and you times that by 88%, and that's your new property tax. Easy, right? So like, that's why I assume 50%, because everything goes up in price and all that. So I hope that answers your question there. That's kind of a quick overview. Obviously I can go into more detail in another session, but um, I think I have like a module or two in my course about insurance and I think property tax as well. And speaking about property tax, Oklahoma City has one of the lowest property taxes in the U.S. Right, and I can evict someone with a 15-day notice. I can give someone a 15-day notice. In California, it probably takes 15 days just to start the paperwork. Right, so it's a landlord-friendly state. So um, yeah. Any other questions? Oh, thanks, Min, for sharing my YouTube. So yeah, it's in the comment there. You can check out my YouTube. Please subscribe. Check out. I have 26 videos there. I saw someone raise their hand earlier. I forgot who, but you can ask your question now if you're still here. Nobody? Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead. You can type it or talk it. I prefer to talk it if possible. So I guess while Vu's talking the question, um, oh, why the buyers have paid 3% fee? So, well, if you use a broker, you pay 3% commission, right? So, like, if let's just say the seller is represented by a broker, they pay 3%. But if I have a broker, they have to pay my broker 3%. So it's a 6%. It's just like single family homes, right? But when I go direct to owners, there's no broker involved. So I go direct to the owner, so they don't pay, they save on commission. So that's why I like going off market too, because okay, let me just give you my whole spiel about why I like direct mail campaign. Number one, it targets mom and pop owners. What does that mean? Number one. Number two is they self manage their property. So they're too cheap to hire a property manager. They're too cheap to pay for a maintenance guy. They probably do their own pest control. I think the guy I bought my 26 unit from, he was a lawyer and he does his own pest control on a 26 unit apartment complex. I'm like, if you're a lawyer, you're probably too busy to do pest control on your 26 unit apartment complex. But that's the mindset, right? Do it yourself mentality, right? That's kind of the boomer mentality there. So, and then number five is they don't raise the rents in a long time. Like my guy hasn't raised his rent in 5 years. So I think he was charging $350 a month in rent in Oklahoma. I could have done absolutely no renovation and still raise the rent to $500. But because I'm doing renovation, I raise it to 700. Right. So that's what's kind of nice about it. And then number six is a lot of the mom and pop owners, they've owned this property for um, geez, like 20 years. I think the property is free and clear. So what does that mean? I can do seller financing. So there's no bank involved. I would negotiate 10% down, 5% interest only, 5-year term. Right? You can negotiate whatever terms you want of creative financing. So, you know, so I my property kind of hit all those criteria. I mean, he didn't want to sell or finance me the deal, but I ended up buying it with a traditional bank. So that's why I really love about going off market there. And yeah, great question. Hopefully, does that answer your question there? So we got about maybe 10 more minutes, maybe one or two more questions from anybody. Don't be shy. Oh yeah, great question. So basically, so my property manager is also my general contractor who was referred to me. So another investor gave me this property manager, and they're probably the best property manager I have three. They're probably the best that I've had. But yeah, to your point, like it's hard to find a good property manager because like 9 out of 10 are terrible, and you don't know if they're good or bad until 6 months into it, right? So like they can so it takes you 6 months to know if the property manager is good. So what I teach to my students is I interviewed 20 property managers. I created a list. I ranked my top three, and then I had one, two, and three. So I hired my first one, which was my referral. But if I need to fire them after 6 months, I have number two, number three lined up, right? So you need a backup of a backup, and same with my general contractor. So lucky for me, my property manager was my general contractor, so it's a two-in-one deal. But if I need to hire somebody, then I will do the same process. I want to interview multiple general contractors. I have like an interview questionnaire form that I go through, and then I rank one, two, and three, and I have backups. And then so I typically rely on my property manager to refer me a general contractor. But in terms of budget, like oh my god, I renovated 20 units in the last 3 months. I renovated 20 apartment units in the last 3 months, and I renovated oh my god, like five mobile homes. So I've done a lot of renovations, and I can tell everyone here with confidence that number one, it's going to cost more than you expect and you're quoted, and number two, it's going to be more expensive than you expect and you're quoted. So it's kind of hard, but you have to build in that reserve. So like my 20 unit, I bought with a hard money loan. My contractor literally told me it was going to take them 8 weeks to finish renovations, and I my response was, "Can you do it in 6 months?" And he looked at me like I was crazy, right? And he started renovation back in June. So it's been 5 months. So you see how my prediction was correct, right? So, things always happen. But it really comes down to experience in doing it. And I can confidently say, because I've done 20 units in Oklahoma, it's going to take you about eight to $10,000 to get a new kitchen, new LVP flooring, new paint, all that stuff there. So um, I hope that answers your question. But for those of you who don't know, so I work full time as a pharmacy director. I own 90 units, and I renovated about 20 units. These past 3 months. So obviously, how am I doing all that? I'm leveraging, right? I'm leveraging other people, and I build systems in place, right? So like, let's just say as they do renovations, I ask my general contractor to send me photo updates, right? I do weekly draws so that every week you me pictures. I verify the work looks good, or I can pay someone to come on site and verify it's done, right? So let's say my property manager, my general contractor is different. I have my property manager walk all the renovations on a weekly basis. And after they finish that walkthrough, then they will give my contractor the weekly funds. So it's called trust but verify. You want to build systems in place, right? I'm not there physically, so I need to build a third party to verify my property manager. And I have them send photos for me. They do, you know, video chats with me, and I have my property manager go there and take photos as well, right? So that's how I do it. Property management companies. I hope that answers your question there, Han. Um, Yeah, yeah. So like I said, I give a lot more. I have a video YouTube. If you check my YouTube, I had a whole session talking about property management, and people ask me like, "What's the difference in these sessions in my course?" I mean, honestly, I give out all the information on these lectures for free, but the way I describe it, this is like cliff notes. Like it's just like kind of more bullet points because I'm talking off the top of my head. But the course is a little bit more, step by step, comprehensive. That's the way I kind of describe it. But honestly, if you listen to all my YouTube videos, you can probably get 80, maybe 70, 80% of what I teach in my course. It's just more bullet points, and it's maybe not as organized because I'm just kind of talking off the top of my head. So property management company. So like I said, the number one source is referrals. But you just can Google it, ask other investors for referrals, and then you just go through the interview process. So I have like, I think my interview is like 10 questions that I go through to pick up my best property manager. But like I said, it takes about 6 months for you to know if they're good or not. So I changed. So most property management contracts are 12 months. I always ask for 3 months, and I say that I want to know if we can work together well. But a lot of times they don't like 3 months, so we meet in the middle, usually 6 to 9 months. So that's a pro tip there for anyone negotiating contracts with property management companies. Um, any one more question? I got time for one more question here. No, so I don't. I pull lists from PropStream. I send it to Yellow Letters Complete, and then they do my mailers for me. And then all I do is I just wait for them to call me. Right. So the moment your letter is shipped, let's say your letter ships on Monday, by Friday you should expect about maybe 9 to 10 calls or texts or emails. So for me, like my high income skill is negotiating and building trust with owners. So I don't want to delegate that. That's my $10,000 per hour task, right? I'm pretty well paid as a pharmacy director, right? But even then, I don't do that because like the VA will never be as good as me, unfortunately, right? I mean, you can train them, so and all that, but I do not use a VA yet. I kind of handle everything myself because I have to be hands on because like your marketing budget can get expensive, right? It's about $500 a month to send 300 letters. I mean, actually, it's not that bad. But if you're interested in learning my system, you can set up a one-on-one with me, or sign up for the course or whatever. Check out my other YouTube video. I have links to Yell Letters Complete and PropStream on how to set that up. It's not too difficult, but if you don't set up your data correctly, you end up wasting more money with your letters. This is about $1.50 per letter. So I kind of walk through the criteria in PropStream and how to structure your letters to be the most effective. So once again, being penny wise, pound foolish. But no, I do not use any VAs currently. I actually take all the calls right myself right now, and it's not too burdensome to be honest. About let's say you get 10 calls a month, so that's about 10 hours a month in terms of talking to the owners, and then after that you underwrite the property. But like you said, at this point at my level, like literally, someone can like Tracy can bring me a deal, and I can analyze that thing in like 5 minutes because I know it so well, like the back of my hand at this point. But if you're first starting off learning your market, it's going to take you a little bit longer to do that. Yeah. Any other questions? One quick question. No question? Okay, cool. Yeah, hopefully you guys found value from this session. I do these every Wednesday at 7 p.m. So you have my email there. I just send out an email usually with the Google Meets link, but I decided to advertise this one onto the forum. So just shoot me an email if you have questions about the course. If you want one-on-one mentorship, shoot me an email. You can check out all my social media. I have a lot of content on YouTube. My goal is just to give value, and I speak from experience, and I just share what I learned because I make mistakes. Right, I'm honest about it. Like most gurus do not tell you their mistakes. I tell everyone my mistakes because I want you to learn from my mistakes and not make the same mistakes that I made. Right, and also kind of therapy for me to share my mistakes. So just check it out. Like I said, once again, this will be uploaded to YouTube, and give me about 2 hours. I'll probably upload it as two separate videos. And hope to see you next week. Thank you so much for hopping on, everybody.